blizzard's gift, the windshield wipers couldn't keep up. Maya Collins gripped the steering wheel tighter, her knuckles pale against her dark skin as snow slammed horizontally across Highway 18. The double shift at Rapid City Regional had drained her, but nothing compared to this. Driving through what the radio called a once-in-a-decade blizzard. Should have stayed at the hospital, she muttered, squinting through the white chaos. But her cat needed feeding, and she'd already missed 2 days at her apartment. Visibility dropped to nothing. Maya slowed to 15 miles per hour, then 10. The road disappeared beneath a blanket of snow that could have hidden anything. Ditches, rocks, or worse. That's when she saw it. A dark shape in a snowdrift ahead, just off the shoulder. Probably debris. A trash bag. She should keep driving. Every instinct screamed to get home before the road became impassable. But something made her stop. Maya pulled over, hazard lights blinking uselessly into the storm. She grabbed her phone, no signal, and pushed open the door. Wind hit her like a fist, stealing her breath. Snow stung her face as she stumbled toward the shape, her nurse's instinct overriding common sense. Not a trash bag, a car seat carrier. Maya's heart stopped. She fell to her knees, frantically brushing away snow. Inside the carrier, wrapped in a soaked blanket, lay a baby. Tiny, lips tinged blue. No, no, no. Maya's training kicked in. She pressed 2 fingers against the infant's neck. A pulse, faint, but there. The baby's skin felt like ice. She scooped up the carrier and ran back to her car, her scrubs already soaked through. Inside, she cranked the heat to maximum and stripped off her jacket, wrapping it around the baby. The infant was maybe 3 months old, Native American, wearing traditional beadwork on her tiny moccasins. Maya checked for injuries. No visible trauma, but hypothermia was killing this child. She pulled the baby from the carrier, tucking her inside her scrub top, skin to skin. The infant's body felt terrifyingly cold against her chest. Maya rubbed the tiny back, willing warmth into those fragile limbs. Come on, baby. Come on. Stay with me. Minutes crawled by. The heater roared. Snow piled against the windows, entombing them. Maya's phone still showed no signal. She was trapped on a dying highway with a dying child, and help was impossible. Then, a sound, barely audible over the storm. A whimper. The baby's fingers curled against Maya's skin. Another weak cry, then stronger. The infant's body began to shiver. A good sign, Maya knew. The body fighting back. That's it, Maya whispered, tears streaming down her face. That's it, little one. Fight. But as relief flooded through her, a darker question emerged. Who left this baby here to die? And were they coming back? The storm didn't break until dawn. Maya kept the baby warm through the endless night, feeding her drops of water from a bottle in her emergency kit, monitoring her breathing, praying the tiny heart would keep beating. When the first plow finally cleared Highway 18, Maya drove straight to Rapid City Regional, the baby still tucked against her chest. The emergency room erupted when she walked in. Maya, we thought you were dead. Keisha Washington grabbed her arm, eyes wide. Your shift ended 8 hours ago. We called. We tried to... She stopped, staring at the bundle in Maya's arms. Is that a baby? Hypothermia, possible exposure for 2 to 3 hours, Maya said, her voice hoarse from exhaustion. Found her in a carrier on Highway 18. No ID, no note. I need a warming bed and IV access. Keisha didn't hesitate. Within minutes, the infant was in the pediatric unit, surrounded by monitors and warming lights. Maya stood at the window, watching nurses work. Her body screamed for sleep, but she couldn't leave. Not yet. You saved her life. Keisha appeared beside her with coffee. Core temp was 89 degrees when you brought her in. Another hour and we'd be having a different conversation. Maya sipped the coffee, barely tasting it. Someone left it there, Keisha, in a blizzard. What kind of person does that? The kind we need to find. A new voice cut in. A man in a sheriff's uniform approached, badge reading Captain Leonard Hayes. Miss Dirk Gray, Miss Collins, I need to ask you some questions. The interview took an hour. Maya described everything. The exact location, the carrier, the beadwork on the moccasins, the timing. Hayes took notes, his expression grim. We found a vehicle abandoned 3 miles from where you stopped, he said. Truck registered to Marcus Whitehorse from Pine Ridge Reservation. We're trying to locate him now. Pine Ridge. Maya's stomach tightened. The reservation was 50 miles south, one of the poorest areas in the nation. She'd done a medical outreach there during nursing school. The baby's name is Winona Whitehorse, Hayes continued. Reported missing from the reservation yesterday evening, 6:15 p.m. Father took her during a supervised visit and didn't return. Mother passed away 3 months ago during childbirth. Maya's chest constricted. This baby had already lost her mother, and now her father had abandoned her in a storm. Is he in custody? She asked. Not yet. We've got tribal police, FBI, and our people searching. Hayes studied her carefully. The tribe's been notified. They'll want to speak with you. Before Maya could respond, movement at the end of the hallway caught her attention. 3 people approached, 2 men and a woman, all Native American. The eldest man walked with the bearing of someone accustomed to respect. His silver hair was pulled back in a traditional braid, and he wore both modern clothes and a beaded vest that spoke of ceremony and significance. Hayes straightened. Chief Redcloud, Captain. The man's voice carried quiet authority. His eyes found Maya, and something flickered there. Grief, gratitude, something deeper. You are the one who found Winona. It wasn't a question. Maya nodded, suddenly aware of how disheveled she looked, still in yesterday's scrubs, hair wild from the storm. I'm Joseph Redcloud, chief of the Ogallala Lakota. This is my nephew Daniel and his wife Ayasha. He gestured to the couple beside him. Daniel was tall and serious, while Ayasha's eyes were already red from crying. Winona is my granddaughter. The words hit Maya like a physical blow. She saved this man's grandchild. I'm so sorry, she began, but Joseph raised a hand. You have nothing to apologize for. You stopped when others would have driven past. You gave warmth when the storm brought only cold. You gave my granddaughter back her life. His voice cracked slightly. My daughter, Kimmy Miller, died bringing Winona into this world. The baby is all I have left of her. Ayasha stepped forward, pressing something into Maya's hands. A small bundle of sage, wrapped with ribbon. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for bringing her back to us. Maya's throat tightened. Can you see her? The doctor said, we've been with her since we arrived. Daniel said quietly, she's strong, like her mother was. What about the father? Maya asked, immediately regretting the question. But Joseph's face darkened. Marcus loved my daughter deeply. When she died, something in him broke. The chief's hands clenched. He began drinking, using. We tried to help, but grief can poison a man's spirit. The tribal court ordered supervised visits only. Yesterday, he took Winona and disappeared. He left her to die, Maya said flatly. We don't know what happened yet, Daniel interjected, though his jaw was tight. Marcus was driving toward Rapid City. Maybe he was bringing her to a hospital. Maybe his truck broke down and he panicked. Or maybe he wanted her to freeze like his heart did, Ayasha said bitterly. I'm sorry, but I can't forgive that. I won't. Joseph placed a hand on his niece's shoulder. The Creator will judge Marcus. Our duty is to Winona now. He turned back to Maya. The FBI wants to question you, and there will be legal matters. But first I wanted to meet you, to thank you properly. I just did what anyone would do, Maya said. No. Joseph's eyes held hers. You did what only someone with a true heart would do. In our tradition, when someone saves a life, they become bound to that life. You are part of Winona's story now. Part of our story. Before Maya could process what that meant, an alarm shriek from the pediatric unit. Nurses rushed toward Winona's room. Maya's training overrode everything else. She ran. Inside, the baby was seizing, her tiny body convulsing. The warming had been too rapid. Rebound hypothermia. Get me .9 saline and warming blankets now, Dr. Washington barked. Maya, you shouldn't be. I'm staying, Maya said, already moving to help. Behind her, she heard Joseph Redcloud begin to pray in Lakota, his voice rising above the chaos like an anchor in a storm. The question of who abandoned Winona would have to wait. Right now, they had to save her again. Winona stabilized after 20 minutes that felt like hours. The seizure passed, her tiny body finally accepting the warmth that had nearly killed her. Maya stood at the foot of the bed. watching the monitors, her hands still trembling from the adrenaline crash. When the medical team finally left them alone, he approached Maya. "You have the hands of a healer," he said softly, "and the heart of a warrior. My people have a word for someone like you. Wakanya Zakigna, protector of children." Maya shook her head. "I'm just a nurse doing my job. You were off duty when you stopped in that storm. You risked your own life." Joseph's gaze was steady, penetrating. "That is not just a job. That is destiny." The word hung between them. Maya wanted to dismiss it as superstition, but something in the old man's eyes stopped her. She felt it too. That inexplicable pull when she saw the carrier in the snow. The certainty that she couldn't drive past. Chief Redcloud, Captain Hayes appeared in the doorway, his expression grave. "We need to talk. In private." Joseph nodded and followed Hayes into the hallway. Maya stayed with Winona, but she couldn't help watching through the window. She saw Hayes speak, saw the chief's shoulders sag, saw Daniel catch his uncle before he fell. Ayasha gasped beside her. "No. Please, no." Daniel entered the room, his face ashen. "They found Marcus, 2 miles from where you discovered Winona." He paused, struggling. "He's dead. They think he died trying to walk for help after his truck broke down." The room spun. Maya gripped the edge of Winona's bed. "He was trying to save her?" "We don't know," Ayasha said, tears streaming. "Maybe he panicked when the truck died. Maybe he put her in the carrier, thinking someone would find her faster than if she was in the truck. Maybe," her voice broke, "maybe he just wanted to die and couldn't take her with him." Maya's mind reeled. She'd been so certain someone had abandoned this baby out of cruelty. But what if it was desperation? What if a broken man had made an impossible choice in a moment of complete hopelessness? Joseph returned, his face carved from stone. "The FBI will investigate, but the evidence suggests Marcus put Winona in the carrier and walked toward the main road, likely trying to flag down help. He made it a quarter mile before the code took him." The chief's voice was hollow. "My grandson-in-law died trying to save my granddaughter, and I spent these last hours believing he wanted to kill her." "You couldn't have known," Maya said. "I should have known." Joseph's hands clenched. Should have seen how deep his pain ran. Should have fought harder to keep him close, to heal him. Instead, I pushed for the supervised visits. I treated him like a threat instead of a grieving son. The weight of that guilt filled the room like smoke. Maya understood it intimately. The what-ifs that haunted every medical professional. Every person who'd ever lost someone they thought they could save. "He made a choice to take her in that storm," Daniel said quietly. "Whatever his intentions, that choice nearly killed Winona. You protected her, Uncle. That's what chiefs do." Joseph didn't respond. He moved to Winona's bedside, placing a weathered hand on her small chest. Now she has no one, no mother, no father, only an old man who failed her family. "She has all of us," Ayasha said firmly. "The whole tribe. She'll never be alone." "The tribe is struggling," Joseph said. "Our foster system is overwhelmed. Our resources are stretched. And I am 73 years old. How can I raise an infant?" The question landed heavy. Maya saw the exhaustion in his eyes, the same exhaustion she'd seen in elderly patients expected to care for grandchildren when they could barely care for themselves. "There are options," Captain Hayes said from the doorway. "Social services, adoption agencies." "No." Joseph's voice cut like a blade. "Winona is Lakota. She belongs with her people. The Indian Child Welfare Act guarantees that. I will not let her be taken from us." Maya had heard of Icy Wade during her nursing outreach. Federal law designed to keep Native children within their tribes after decades of forced adoptions and cultural genocide. It was protection, but also responsibility. Then the tribal council would decide. There are families who would take her. Good families. Joseph nodded slowly, but his eyes remained on Maya. "What about you?" Maya blinked. "What?" "You saved their life. Twice now. She knows your heartbeat, your warmth. Would you consider Uncle No?" Daniel interrupted. "You can't ask that." "Why not?" Joseph turned to his nephew. "She has proven herself. Winona is alive because of her. She's not Lakota, Ayasha said carefully. She doesn't know our ways, our language, our traditions. How could she raise a Lakota child? People can learn, Joseph said, and some hearts know truth without teaching. Maya's pulse hammered. Become Winona's guardian? The idea was absurd. She was single, lived in a one-bedroom apartment, worked 60-hour weeks. She'd never even considered having children. But when she looked at Winona's tiny face, something shifted in her chest, a connection she couldn't name, a sense of rightness that defied logic. I can't just... Maya stammered. This is too big. I'm not prepared for this. No one ever is, Joseph said gently. But I see how you look at her. I see how she calms when you're near. The Creator puts people in each other's paths for a reason. Chief Redcloud, with respect, this isn't appropriate. Hayes interjected. There are legal processes, background checks, home studies. You can't just hand a child to someone who found her on the highway. I am not handing her to anyone. I am asking a question. Joseph's gaze never left Maya's face. I am asking if she would open her heart to a possibility. Maya opened her mouth, but no words came. The monitors beeped steadily. Winona slept peacefully, unaware that her entire future hung in the balance of this moment. I need time, Maya finally whispered. I need to think. Of course. Joseph stepped back. But do not think too long. Winona will need a home when she leaves this hospital. And homes, like hearts, must be chosen with both wisdom and courage. He left then. Daniel and Ayasha following. Captain Hayes lingered, giving Maya a sympathetic look before departing. Alone with Winona, Maya sank into the chair beside the bed. She reached through the bars, letting the baby's tiny fingers curl around her thumb. What am I supposed to do with you? She whispered. Outside the window, snow had begun to fall again. Softer now, gentler, but Maya knew the storm inside her mind was just beginning. 3 days passed. Winona thrived under hospital care, her strength returning with each feeding, each diaper change, each moment of warmth. Maya found herself volunteering for every shift in the pediatric unit, drawn to the baby's bedside like gravity itself was pulling her there. Her supervisor noticed. Maya, you need rest. You've been here 72 hours straight. I'm fine, Maya lied, cradling Winona during a feeding. The baby's dark eyes watched her face, tiny fingers gripping Maya's scrub top with surprising strength. You're attached. Dr. Washington sat beside her. I get it. You saved her. But that doesn't make you her mother. The word mother. Maya had never seriously considered it. Her own mother had died when she was 16. Her father remarried and moved to Atlanta, creating a new family that barely included her. At 34, Maya had accepted that her family was her work, her patients, her small circle of friends. But holding Winona felt different. It felt like coming home. Social services came by this morning, Keisha continued gently. The tribal council is meeting tomorrow to discuss placement. Chief Redcloud's nephew and his wife are interested in adopting. They're young, stable, already have tribal approval. Maya's chest tightened. Daniel and Ayasha. She's seen them visiting, watched Ayasha sing traditional lullabies, saw Daniel's gentle hands changing diapers. They were perfect. Everything Winona needed. So why did the thought of giving her up feel like losing a limb? That evening, Maya drove home for the first time in days. Her apartment felt foreign, empty. She fed her cat and collapsed on the couch, but sleep wouldn't come. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. This is Joseph Redcloud. May I visit you tomorrow? Maya stared at the message. Should create distance. Instead, she typed, yes, 6 p.m. The next morning brought FBI agents to the hospital. They interviewed Maya again, confirming Marcus's death was accidental. The case would close. Marcus Whitehorse had been a grieving father who made a desperate gamble in a deadly storm, hoping someone would find his daughter before the cold killed them both. He'd been right. Maya had found her. But he paid with his life. The agents left, and Maya returned to Winona's room. Chief Redcloud was already there, holding his granddaughter, singing softly in Lakota. He looked up when Maya entered. She smiles when you arrive, he said. See? Even now, Maya's heart cracked, Winona was cooing, her tiny face bright with infant joy. Did babies this young recognize people? Maya wasn't sure, but the connection felt real. Chief Redcloud, I can't. Please. Call me Joseph. He stood, carefully transferring Winona to Maya's arms. And I know what you will say, that you are not ready, that you are not Lakota, that Daniel and Ayasha are better suited. They are, Maya said firmly. They're younger, married, part of the tribe. Winona would grow up knowing her culture, her language, all true. Joseph moved to the window. But let me tell you something about our people. For generations, the government stole our children, sent them to boarding schools where they were beaten for speaking Lakota, punished for practicing our ways, told that being Indian was shameful. They returned to us as strangers, lost between two worlds. Maya had read about the boarding schools. The trauma still echoed through generations. I see where it protects us from that happening again, Joseph continued. It keeps our children with our people. But sometimes I wonder if we have become too rigid, if we have let fear make us build walls instead of bridges. I don't understand. Joseph turned to face her. When I look at you with Winona, I see something rare. I see love without condition. You did not save her because she was Lakota or because you expected gratitude or reward. You saved her because she needed saving. That is the purest kind of love. Love isn't enough, Maya said. She needs culture, identity, belonging, and she can have those things with you. Joseph's eyes burned with intensity. If you choose this path, we will teach you. The tribe will embrace you. Winona will know her heritage because we will make sure of it. You will not raise her alone. Maya's hands trembled. Why me? You barely know me. I know you stopped in the blizzard when anyone else would have driven past. I know you held my granddaughter against your heart when she was dying. I know you have spent 3 days at her bedside when you could have walked away. Joseph's voice softened. I know the Creator brought you to that highway for a reason. Some bonds transcend blood and tribe. Daniel and Ayasha want her. I can't just take her from them. They want what is best for Winona, as do I. Joseph placed a hand on Maya's shoulder. Come to the reservation tomorrow. Meet with the tribal council. Here are all the options. Then decide with full knowledge. Maya looked down at Winona, who had fallen asleep in her arms. The baby's breathing was soft and steady, her tiny chest rising and falling with perfect trust. What if I can't do this? Maya whispered. What if I fail her? What if you succeed? Joseph countered. What if you give this child exactly what she needs? A mother who chose her, who fought for her, who will love her fiercely. Is that not what every child deserves? The question hung in the air like smoke from sacred fire. That evening, Joseph came to Maya's apartment as promised. He brought gifts, traditional items wrapped in soft leather, a small drum, beaded moccasins in Winona size, a blanket woven with Lakota symbols. These are not bribes, he said. They are promises. If you choose to raise Winona, you will not do so alone. Our traditions will guide you. Our elders will teach you. Our people will support you. Maya unwrapped the blanket, fingers tracing the intricate patterns. What do these symbols mean? The turtle represents Mother Earth, long life. The bear is strength and healing. The morning star is guidance and hope. Joseph pointed to each design. This blanket tells Winona's story, found in darkness, brought to light, given new life through courage and sacrifice. Tears blurred Maya's vision. I'm scared. Good. Fear means you understand the weight of its responsibility. Joseph sat across from her, his weathered face kind. But let me ask you something, Maya Collins. When you held Winona in your car during that storm, when you felt her heartbeat against yours, did you feel fear? Maya thought back to that endless night. No, I felt purpose. Then trust that feeling. Trust what your heart already knows. He left her with the gifts and a final instruction. The council meets tomorrow at noon. We will discuss all options. Daniel and Ayasha, other tribal families, and you. Whatever is decided, it will be what the Creator wills. After he left, Maya sat in her quiet apartment. The Lakota blanket spread across her lap. Her phone rang. Her father calling from Atlanta for the first time in months. Maya, I saw the news. You rescued a baby. She explained everything. The storm, Winona, the impossible choice facing her. Her father was silent for a long moment. That's a big responsibility. Are you sure you're ready? The question stung, though. She knew he meant well. Her father had never quite believed she was ready for anything. Nursing school, living alone, any choice that didn't involve settling down with a nice man and following a conventional path. I don't know, Maya admitted, but maybe readiness isn't the point. Maybe love is. Love doesn't pay bills or raise children, her father said. You need to be practical. Maya ended the call feeling hollow. But as she looked at the gifts Joseph had brought, at the symbols woven into Winona's blanket, she realized something. She'd spent her whole life being practical, playing it safe, avoiding risks. And where had it gotten her? To a lonely apartment with a cat and a life half-lived. Tomorrow, she would face the tribal council. Tomorrow, she would hear all the reasons why someone else should raise Winona. But tonight, for the first time in years, Maya allowed herself to want something impossible. To imagine a different future. To believe that maybe, just maybe, the blizzard had brought her more than a baby to save. Maybe it had brought her a reason to finally live. The Pine Ridge Reservation stretched across the South Dakota landscape like a scar on the earth, beautiful and broken simultaneously. Maya drove through it the next morning, past weathered houses and rusted cars, past children playing in yards and elders sitting on porches. Poverty was visible everywhere, but so was resilience. Marrows celebrated Lakota warriors. Gardens grew despite the harsh soil. People waved at her passing car, their faces curious but not hostile. The tribal council building sat at the heart of the community, a modern structure decorated with traditional art. Maya's hands shook as she parked. Through the window, she could see people gathering. Elders, families, community members. This wasn't going to be a private meeting. This was going to be public. Joseph met her at the entrance. Are you ready? No, Maya admitted, but I'm here. Inside, at least 50 people filled the room. Maya recognized Daniel and Ayasha sitting in the front row holding hands. Other couples she didn't know sat nearby. Potential families for Winona, she realized. Everyone turned to look at her as she entered. Joseph guided her to a seat near the front. The council will hear from everyone who wishes to speak about Winona's future. Then they would deliberate and decide. A woman in traditional dress stood at the podium, council chairwoman Margaret Blackbird. Her voice carried authority tempered with compassion. We gathered to determine the best placement for Winona Whitehorse, daughter of Marcus Whitehorse and Kimmy Miller Redcloud. As required by Seaway, we prioritized keeping this child within our tribal community and culture. She nodded toward Maya. We have an unusual situation. The woman who saved Winona's life has been asked by Chief Redcloud to consider guardianship. Maya Collins is not Lakota. She is not from our reservation. But she holds Winona's life in her hands twice over. We will hear from all parties, then decide what serves the child best. Daniel stood first. His voice was steady, but Maya heard the emotion beneath. Ayasha and I wish to adopt Winona. We have a stable home, steady income, and strong ties to this community. We've completed all tribal foster requirements. We've been married 5 years and have been trying to have children of our own, he said. He paused, glancing at his wife. We can't. Medical reasons. When we heard about Winona, it felt like the Creator answering our prayers. Ayasha rose beside him, tears in her eyes. I grew up without knowing my culture. My mother was Lakota, but she married a white man and moved to Denver. I didn't learn our language, didn't attend ceremonies, didn't know who I was. It left a hole in me that I'm still trying to fill. Her voice strengthened. I don't want that for Winona. She deserves to grow up Lakota, surrounded by her people, knowing exactly where she belongs. The room murmured approval. Maya's heart sank. How could she compete with that? They were offering Winona everything: culture, identity, family, belonging. What was Maya offering? Love? That seemed insufficient suddenly. Another couple stood. Thomas and Grace, Little Thunder. They had 3 children already, all thriving, all strong in their cultural identity. They spoke of their willingness to welcome Winona as their 4th child, to raise her alongside her cousins who lived next door, to ensure she grew up embedded in tribal life. Then an elder named Samuel Walking Bear stood. His voice was gentle but firm. I respect Miss Collins for what she did. She is a hero, but heroes don't always make good parents. This child needs more than rescue. She needs roots. She needs to know the songs of her ancestors, to speak the language of her grandmother, to walk the land her people have walked for generations. How can an outsider give her these things? Several people nodded. Maya felt the weight of their skepticism pressing against her chest. Joseph stood, his presence commanding immediate silence. My friends, I hear your concerns, but I ask you to consider something. Our people have suffered because others decided they knew what was best for our children. The boarding schools, the adoptions, the forced assimilations, all done by people who thought they were serving the greater good. He turned to face the assembly. What if we are making the same mistake? What if we are so focused on what Winona should have that we forget to ask what she needs? I have watched Miss Collins with my granddaughter. I have seen a bond that cannot be manufactured or forced. Should we break that bond simply because it doesn't fit our expectations? With respect, Chief, Margaret Blackbird said carefully, emotional bonds are not enough to raise a child. Miss Collins has no experience with children. She works long hours. She lives alone in a small apartment. How can she provide what Winona needs? Before Joseph could respond, Maya stood. Her legs felt weak, but her voice came out stronger than she expected. You're right, about all of it. The room fell silent. Maya looked at each face, then focused on Daniel and Ayasha. You would be incredible parents. Winona would be blessed to have you. And honestly, I can't give her what you can. I can't teach her Lakota. I don't know the ceremonies or the traditions. I work 60-hour weeks and live in a place barely big enough for me, let alone a baby. She saw relief flash across several faces. They thought she was conceding, but Maya wasn't finished. Here's what I can give her, though. I can give her a mother who will never, ever stop fighting for her. Who will learn Lakota if it takes me 10 years. Who will drive to this reservation every weekend so she knows her people. Who will make sure she understands exactly who she is and where she comes from. Maya's voice cracked. I can give her a mother who chose her, not because she couldn't have other children, not because it fulfilled the need or answered a prayer, but because when I held her in that storm, something in my soul recognized something in hers. Tears streamed down Maya's face now, but she didn't wipe them away. I don't know if that's enough. Maybe it's not. Maybe you're right that she needs more than I can give. But I need you to know that if you give me this chance, I will spend every day of my life making sure she knows she is Lakota. That her culture is honored. That her people are her people. She turned to Daniel and Ayasha. And if you choose them, I will support that. Because they're right. She needs roots. She needs community. She needs everything I don't have. Maya's voice dropped to a whisper. I just hope that maybe, somehow, love could be enough to build on. She sat down, trembling. The silence in the room was absolute. Then Ayasha stood. She walked to Maya, knelt beside her chair, and took her hands. I believe you, she said softly. I believe you would fight for her. I believe you would learn and grow and sacrifice. Tears fell down Ayasha's face, but Daniel and I have been preparing for this our whole marriage. We're ready now. Winona can't wait for you to become ready. The words were kind, but they cut deep. Maya nodded, unable to speak. Margaret Blackbird stood. The council would deliberate. We ask everyone to step outside while we discuss. People filed out. Maya stood in the cold South Dakota air, watching families cluster together, watching Daniel and Ayasha receive congratulations from community members who clearly assumed the decision was already made. Joseph appeared beside her. It's not over. Yes, it is, Maya said. They're right. I'm not ready. I'm not enough. You are exactly enough. Joseph's hand gripped her shoulder. But sometimes being enough means knowing when to step back. And sometimes it means knowing when to fight. The question is, which one is this? Before Maya could answer, the council chamber doors opened. Margaret Blackbird stood in the entrance, her expression unreadable. We have made our decision, she said. Please, everyone, come inside. Maya's heart hammered as she followed the crowd back into the chamber. This was it, the moment that would determine Winona's entire future, and possibly her own. Margaret Blackbird waited until everyone settled before speaking. Her eyes swept across the assembly, landing finally on Maya. This has been one of the most difficult deliberations this council has undertaken. We have heard compelling arguments from multiple families, each offering Winona a loving home. Maya's fingernails dug into her palms. Just say it. Just tell me who you chose. We have considered the requirements of ECWA, which mandate that Native children be placed with Native families whenever possible. We have weighed cultural preservation against individual circumstances. We have prayed for guidance. Margaret paused, and we have reached a unanimous decision. The room held its breath. Winona Whitehorse will be placed with Daniel and Ayasha Redcloud, who will petition for formal adoption under tribal law. The words hit Maya like a physical blow. She'd known this was coming. She told herself she was prepared, but the pain that tore through her chest proved she'd been lying to herself. She gripped the edge of her chair, fighting to breathe. Around her, people applauded. Daniel and Ayasha embraced, crying tears of joy. Family members congratulated them. It was beautiful. It was right. It was exactly what Winona needed. So why did Maya feel like she was dying? She stood on shaking legs, needing to escape before she broke down completely. But Margaret's voice stopped her. Ms. Collins, please remain. The council has more to say. Maya froze, confused. What more could there be? Margaret's stern expression softened. Sit down, child. This concerns you too. Maya sank back into her chair. Joseph appeared beside her, his hand on her shoulder, anchoring her. Margaret continued. The council has also decided to invoke a rarely used provision of our tribal customs. Miss Collins, you saved Winona's life at great personal risk. In our tradition, this creates a sacred bond, what we call Takoza Okwichiapi, the bond of life-giving. It means you are forever connected to this child's spirit. Maya's vision blurred with tears. She didn't want a ceremonial title. She wanted Winona. Because of this bond, Margaret said, her voice growing stronger, and because Chief Redcloud has spoken on your behalf, and because we have witnessed your genuine love for this child, the council has decided to offer you a place in Winona's life. Maya's head snapped up. What? Daniel stood, approaching with Ayasha beside him. We've talked about this, he said, his voice gentle. Ayasha and I will be Winona's parents. We'll raise her, teach her our ways, give her the cultural foundation she needs. But you, he paused, emotion thick in his voice. You gave her life. That means something. That matters. Ayasha took Maya's hands. We want you to be part of her life. Not as a stranger. Not as someone who just saved her once. But as family. As her aunt. Her Lekshi. Someone who visits. Who stays connected. Who helps us teach her about courage and sacrifice and love that crosses all boundaries. Maya couldn't speak. Couldn't process what they were offering. We're not asking you to disappear, Daniel continued. We're asking you to stay, to be part of our extended family, to let us teach you our ways so you can help us teach her. You said you learned Lakota. We'll teach you. You said you'd make sure she knows her culture. We'll share it with you. Together. Why? Maya whispered. Why would you do this? Ayasha's eyes glistened. Because you're right. You do have a bond with her. And because my mother tried to cut herself off from her culture, and it broke something in her. In me. I don't want to cut Winona off from anyone who loves her. Anyone who's part of her story. That includes you. Joseph's voice rumbled beside Maya. Our people have survived because we understand that family is not just blood. It's choice. It's commitment. It's the circle of people who hold a child up and say, we will make sure you thrive. Daniel and Ayasha will be Winona's parents. But you, Maya Collins, will be part of her circle if you choose to accept. Margaret addressed the assembly. The council supports this arrangement. We believe it honors both our traditions and the unique circumstances of Winona's rescue. Ms. Collins will be formally recognized as Winona's Lekshi at the next tribal ceremony. She will have visiting rights, will be included in major decisions regarding Winona's upbringing, and will be welcomed into the Redcloud family as an honorary member. Maya looked at Daniel and Ayasha, seeing nothing but sincerity in their faces. They weren't just tolerating her. They were genuinely offering to share Winona. To create a family that looked different from anything she'd imagined, but somehow felt exactly right. I don't deserve this, Maya breathed. None of us deserve the gifts the Creator gives, Joseph said. We only choose whether to accept them with grace. Maya stood, facing Daniel and Ayasha. I accept, and I promise, I'll never try to replace you. I'll never undermine you. I'll support you in raising her to be strong and proud and deeply rooted in who she is. Ayasha pulled Maya into an embrace. We know. That's why we're offering this. The room erupted in applause. People approached to congratulate all three of them, the parents and the honorary aunt who would share the blessing of raising this child. 3 months later, Maya stood in a circle of sage smoke on the Pine Ridge Reservation. Spring had arrived, melting the last traces of the blizzard that had changed everything. Winona, now 6 months old, lay in a cradle board decorated with the same beadwork that had adorned her moccasins the night Maya found her. The naming ceremony was conducted entirely in Lakota. Maya didn't understand all the words yet, but she was learning. 3 times a week, she drove to the reservation for language lessons with tribal elders. Every weekend, she stayed with Daniel and Ayasha, helping care for Winona, absorbing the rhythms of Lakota life. It wasn't the family she'd imagined. It was better. Joseph stood at the center of the circle, holding Winona up to the 4 directions as he sang. Then he turned to Maya, gesturing for her to step forward. Lekshi, he said, using the Lakota word for aunt. Bring your hands forward. Maya extended her hands, and Joseph placed Winona in them. The baby looked up at her with those dark, knowing eyes and smiled. A real smile now, full of recognition and trust. You asked me once what you were supposed to do with this child, Joseph said softly, so only Maya could hear. Now you know. You love her. You protect her. You watch her grow into the woman she's meant to become. Not alone, but as part of a circle that will never let her fall. Tears streamed down Maya's face as she held Winona close. Around her, the community sang. Daniel and Ayasha's voices joined in with dozens of others, creating a sound that felt like home. Maya thought back to that terrible night in the blizzard. She believed she was simply saving the baby's life. But the truth was more complex, more beautiful. That baby had saved her too. From loneliness, from a half-lived life, from the belief that family required biology or tradition or anything other than love and choice. As the ceremony concluded, Maya handed Winona back to Ayasha, watching the new mother cradle her daughter with fierce tenderness. Daniel wrapped his arm around his wife, and together they swayed, singing softly. Joseph appeared at Maya's side. Are you happy with how things turned out? Maya watched Winona's tiny hand reach up to touch Ayasha's face. She saw the love radiating from both parents. She felt the acceptance of the community around her, the elders who'd taken time to teach her, the families who'd welcomed her into their homes. I'm more than happy, Maya said. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Yes, Joseph agreed, his weathered face creasing into a smile. The blizzard brought you to us for a reason. Not to take our child, but to join our family. Some gifts arrive in storms, wrapped in snow and silence. The wise ones recognize them. The blessed ones accept them. As the sun set over the reservation, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson, Maya understood something profound. She hadn't lost Winona by stepping back. She'd found something bigger, a family, a purpose, a belonging that transcended every boundary she once believed mattered. The baby she saved in the storm had led her home. And in the end, that was the greatest rescue of all. * the end.